Alright, welcome back to another stream with Unreal. And today we have lots of things to cover. It's going to be quite a busy stream. Mostly busy on my part, I think, because I'm going to be trying to figure out a lot of stuff. I got two major challenges on my plate today. I got to get this live linking working. I've got it working. We did manage to get the connection working. It actually turned out to be a restriction on iPad, but I'll get into that a little bit more. And then the other thing was we wanted to look at NXT, which is a integration with Maya plugins and all sorts of other interesting things that we had a chat with the developers as part of a CG Spectrum webinar. I think it was just yesterday. So I'm going to give that one a go today, and I'm going to see what happens when you actually use the NXT software. I went through a few of the tutorial videos, but I want to really start from scratch in today's stream so that we get a nice clean look about how to get it working. And but I might do that after, because I kind of like to build up maybe more a better argument as to why we're using it, because it's all going to be Python scripting, and currently the scripts I want to integrate are all done in Mel, so I don't really have a good excuse to basically I don't have a easy copy-paste formula right now, so I'm gonna have to like think of an idea of what we're trying to solve, which is basically probably going to be how we're going to get these blend shapes to work properly. The other thing is I lost my little video that connects my iPad to my screen, so I had this plan. I was gonna do that and integrate it, but the license expired. It was just a 1 week free trial, and it expired exactly 1 week from when I first started it, which was like 30 minutes before last week's session. So 30 minutes before my session, it expired, and I was like, that's awkward. So I didn't really have enough time to think about a backup plan. But anyway, it's all right. We kind of worked with that last week, and we saw that, you know, the face does work, and we have stuff that sits in there. Let me put something else on my screen besides a gray blocks. What we're gonna do is try and get ourselves into Unreal, and we're gonna work our way to. I think what we can do is just to prove that the facial posing thing works. I'm just gonna open up the example scene that you can get for free off of the launcher. Let's get it working first here, and then we'll see, and we'll use it as comparison too, so that we can kind of get back to it and go, okay, well, how are they setting it up? Because there is a lot of very complicated stuff in there that we have to work with. So let me just try. I've got my start menu bar sitting in a place that's off to the side so it doesn't get blocked by the iPad, but it's like I'm trying to do things with my left hand, it feels like, 'cause it's just so not where I'm comfortable with. Anyway, I'll show you where this object is that we can use, basically a tutorial. It's part of the Learn tab as opposed to the Marketplace, and it's just down here, Face AR Sample. So anybody can download this for free. It's got everything set up so that you get instant results. So we're going to do that right now. The results are not that amazing, but whatever. So basically it's within the animation blueprint. I'm just filtering it through the content here. You can see we've got quite an interesting array of things we have to solve, which could very well be, could be interesting how we run across that today, because I do not really have a clear idea yet, but we'll see what we're doing. So at this moment, we need to connect to my iPad. Currently it's not connected because I do not have Live Link open. And if this doesn't work right now, I'm going to be so frustrated because look, it's not working right now. Because I just tested it. Ah, there we go. It works again. I had to turn my camera back on again. Because I just tested it just to make sure. Hey, there's Dave. I knew you'd, if you were watching, you were going to say something. I just confirmed to Dave, because he helped me get it working during, Dave and John both give them credit for this, helped me get it working on the open session that we had. And really, after all this crazy troubleshooting with everybody's expertise, it turns out I just had to turn on my turned my iPhone back, or my iPad off. And when I turned it back on, it kicked in some sort of settings that asked me a question of whether or not I want to, if it's okay that this app talks outside of the network, or outside of its, you know, as like a talking to the internet or the network. And so I just had to hit OK, and then everything worked. It was just ridiculous. But anyway, there we go. So it works actually a lot easier than it was looking like last week, and realistically, it does connect quite nice. Here we have to connect the iPad here, and we compile, and then just like that, it's driving the face to create the expressions so that you can make awkward smiles and do all sorts of stuff. So it does work. As you can see, some of the targets are not calibrated particularly clean. Specifically, it seems like there's a gap in the teeth at all times, so you can't really hit your M's. But this is the classic challenges you run into when you're doing facial capture anyway. So this could very well be the one of the classic limitations that we run into, unless we try to be all smart about how we approach it. But we'll just take a look at what we got here, and try to figure out how exactly we're going to reproduce this using the character that we wanted to do. I'm just like, the eyebrows work pretty good, the uplink. But I was just wanted to test the eyes, but it's really hard to test the eyes when you can't see the screen. Anyway, it's coming along pretty good, I think. So noise removal by the way of weighted moving average alpha. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't know what that means. Calibration offsets. Calibration offsets. Okay, well, I'm not sure where that's gonna go. That's not what I thought it was. Modify curve. I'm going to take a look at the character's skeletal mesh, and we're going to see what kind of morphs we have here and how many of them. Well, I guess I kind of know exactly what they're going to be. But what do we got? Look up, eye, left, right, down. Look, eye. So it's all the eye movements are here. Modify curve. Handlers for corrective blend shapes, like if you are looking both down and to the right at the same time. Wow, that's pretty fancy. That doesn't give me quite enough information, I feel like. Like, how do I know what modify curve is really referring to here? We've got a lot of stuff. And an alpha. Let's just take a minute here to take a look at what's going on here. We've got eye blink left, eye blink right. So what does that mean? That means when you blink, you're turning off the other curves. That would make sense. Eye blink left would go from 0 to 1 though, you'd think. Which would make all this multiply at a 0. TG Scully said, want to become famous. I thought that was a real post. All right. Sorry, took care of that in a very boring way. Let me go back to what I was doing. And then, so this is saying I blink left is basically multiplying potentially a 1 or a 0 against I look left, I look down, I look left. And also like the squints, which is, oh, eye squint, cheek squint. So how do I do this? I have to blink, and it doesn't seem like it's countering the eye cheek off and on, so I don't know what that means. So what is it doing? And what is that returning a value of whether or not this cheek is on? Ends up inputting into eye blink, cheek squint right. All I can think of is this modify curve must be like driving things. Oh yeah, look, all the curves are just reset here already. I have no idea why they multiplied it by the value of the blink. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean the blink has to be part of how the eye look, like it has to combine the two of them and make the eye look higher or lower? Yep, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I assume that over here what we got isn't the eye. Oh, it is the eyes as well. Calibration offset. It is nothing that says driving any of the other mouse shapes or anything. I just haven't got there yet. Also, there's no head movement, so that means all this stuff isn't actually working. There was a setting, if I remember correctly, it's supposed to be turned on. We were talking about how you, if it wasn't working, then you have to do something. Or maybe they just don't have these. I bet you they do. Let's take a look. Jump back to our skeleton. Oh yeah, they're probably blend shapes through there. Did they put any kind of head stuff in here, or is it all just based on this? Neck, root, head, chest. Head roll, head yaw is the curve type. Oh, that's the data coming from the iPad. Adds rotators to the modified bone is the neck root and the head joints, which is neck root and the head joints. So it's supposed to be modifying them, but it's possible that it was in the settings or something. Stream head rotation. There we go. It was in the settings. Let's go back for a sec. There we go. That was easy. It's a checkbox. Now we've got bobblehead going on. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, it's backwards. That's pretty good flexibility. I feel like I'm constantly moving it to the right here. So I think if it's backwards on, what is it? Yaw and pitch? Or yaw? No, pitch I mean. It means I gotta make this positive 90. There we go. That's better. Hey, GD Smith says it's a living head. It's got a really strong rotation, actually. Like that's turn definitely not the equal degree ratio here. So what is this? The yaw. So minus 90. Break that down a lot. Yeah, that seems a little more realistic. Pretty good. I feel like the mouth is looking a little better than before. Let me turn off the joints here. Wait, I did have the joints off. And the joint name is still there. Oh, there it goes. It's better. JD Smith asks, is this rigged in Unreal? Well, this is to go back to where I started here. This is the beginning. This is a learning tutorial that you can find on the launcher, and it is definitely in Unreal, and it's definitely a rig. It's just a few joints. I guess you've got upper eyelid joints, which is interesting. What's also interesting is, oh, the eyelashes aren't connected to it. It's got a few joints, but mostly just blend shapes in here. That's the majority of what's going on. So this is what we need to get ourselves to with our character, and they're all probably following the proper naming convention. Whoa, that is like such not a real target right there. Jaw open? Thought mouth closed was that one. Man. See, if this is the targets I should have been following. Figure out what they've figured out. Make it look good. Rather than following the very vague web page. But you'll also notice that they're all conveniently placed into a Anim's Curve category here. So they were exported as blend shapes from a Maya file rather than hey, Nina Bird. That is really nifty. It is pretty good. I'm impressed. I mean, the bobblehead is annoying. That would be, I guess, one of those spots where you could maybe introduce this cool filter thing that's happening in the beginning. It was the same issue that happened with the the video that they had, where it was like the character was clearly bobbleheady and it needed like some serious smoothing going on. I have no idea what this does. Noise removal, by the way, weighted moving average with alpha. Like, I don't even understand that. All right, we got Dave says the mouth can't keep up either if you talk too fast. It's neat though. Yeah, maybe my camera is too far away or something. It is really like not very accurate when it comes to the mouth though. Barely even pronouncing anything. And I'm pretty sure the face is pretty clear on the image. Riz says, I have built a land speeder from Star Wars in Lightwave. That's great. Sounds awesome. JD Smith almost looks like the kid from Iron Giant. Oh yeah. Well, when they first made this character, it was for their kite demo, which is their infamous demo they did when they switched from a pay plan to a free plan. So it was like they made this little animated short with this character that had a kite, and then they let the kite free. It was all symbolic and stuff. JD Smith says in Blender. I don't know, they didn't talk about what happens, where this geometry came from. I mean, it's definitely You got the full body mesh, I guess, as well. I don't know. It seems like it was just the top part, but I bet you it was in Maya. If I'm gonna put a bet, it would be Maya, because I'm pretty sure they use Maya in their production studio. I know that they're talking about and they're supporting and they're investing into Blender, but I don't think, especially in the era that this particular mesh was made, I don't think they would have done any crazy jumps at that point. It was probably Maya 2016, to be really accurate. Not sure where I'm going with this. I kind of wanted to figure out why this mesh is like not the head mesh. Let me just turn this filter off here. Browse to this asset. It's a Kiteboy. This is a blueprint where we have, is it 2 meshes? Head mesh and the shirt mesh. Is the shirt mesh just a static mesh? Is that what they're trying to say here? Yeah, so it's just a static mesh. The only part that's actually got joints and a skeletal mesh is the face and the top part. It does keep it pretty lean. Does that mean if I play it? Oh yeah, look at that. It works right away. My aspect ratio is insanely close though. Not sure what that means. Trying to do like fancy camera work here. I assume that this is like a sequence or something that they're playing. I don't even know if that's true. I wonder how they're doing it. Let's go check out the level blueprint. Is AR session supported? Wonder why they have to ask that. If it's false, face tracking is not supported on this device. Huh. Start AR session. Session config face AR data. I don't know what that means either. Can I just call start AR? I assume that that's like a generic. Yeah, just a generic option. They've turned off the delay, which executes shadow quality higher. Not sure what that means either. Maybe if I just move the camera back. And try it again. There we go. It wasn't any kind of crazy stuff going on at all. It was just a static camera that was playing the character. Riz says, I also built a city for my land speeder. Sounds like you've been pretty busy there, Riz. Nina Bird, so I missed part 1. How hard was it to set up? Okay, so I haven't even got to the setup part. Well, I mean, okay, so if you download this project from the Epic launcher, should probably go back to that again. You're asking a very specific question. So if we go to learn and you scroll down and you go to AR face AR sample, this is where I'm at. I basically just open that up. I have another project that I'm trying to implement face expressions, but it's gonna be tricky and I think I'm gonna have some problems. But so I'm trying to learn as much as I can from this one before I move over. But oh, it does butts pretty good. But all you have to do is make sure that your iPad or your iPhone is installed with this specific software that is called, I don't know what it's called anymore. How do I always forget what it's called. Live Link Face. It's from the App Store. It's free. It's made by Epic. And you have to make sure that your Live Link is hooked up to your IP address of your PC. So you need to have a local area network, figure out where your IP address of your PC is, and then put that in there. It doesn't seem like I have to do anything to set my firewall up or anything, so it seemed like that was completely just working fine. Last week I was unsuccessful in getting this set up, so I was struggling, and yet in the end it was actually particularly easy. The key element was what I just did now, is I went to a live link window here, and this will read these inputting data from these apps, and so it just finds it, and once it finds it, then I have to go into the animation blueprint of the character and make sure that the first node of this whole entire anim graph has a little pull down. You got to make sure that that pull down is linked up to it, and then you compile it. That was it. It was just working after that. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, all these struggles I was going through, turns out it was just because I had to restart my iPad, like physically close it down, reboot it, and then when I opened up the app, it showed me a window it never showed before, which said, you want to allow this to connect to the network. And I said, okay, and then boom, it all worked. So all that struggle, the actual answer was super easy. So, and you can do this with any iPhone or iPad that is past, I don't know, the last couple versions. It's got to be fairly new, but it doesn't have to be like, I think the last 2 versions or something. It's not like super new. And then you can get it to work. Dave has added, firewall may also be something that needs to be open. Dave may be making a really good point, because I haven't actually turned off the firewall thing, so I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, I have my firewall turned on before Dave writes the next comment. But I have not, I haven't exactly, I never disabled the port being open. I'm going to show you what I did, because if that is the case, then it is kind of complicated to add that part, and I totally forgot about that. Nina Bird says, oh, sorry, Riz says, I can make the doors of my house open and close. Hey, that sounds pretty good. What, in Lightwave? Nina Bird says, so for an actual character, how much rigging needs to be done before this is workable? Right, now there is a good question. So the way that it's actually a fair bit of work, I'm not gonna lie. So this character was created with a lot of blend shapes. If I go to the skeleton, I can see this giant list of blend shapes. And so these blend shapes are all what the iPad is telling Unreal to turn on and off. And this list came from a website that is from Apple called the AR Kit. AR Kit, basically if I type AR Kit blend shapes, it comes up. And in one of the earlier streams, we went through all of these and carefully added them all. Sure which link I'm supposed to be clicking on. Here we go. And each one of these links, you can see they've got a little demonstration of what your blend shape is supposed to look like. So that's, and to make a blend shape in Maya, you just basically have a duplicate mesh and you export it. We might even go over that, because I'm going to have to eventually get this working. So we might show the dumbed down version, especially if we just do like a mouth open, which will allow us to get something working. And then we'll try to figure out how if we can rescue what we've already got from the previous one, and also see how the heck this all works, because it didn't say anything about adding all that stuff when it was originally reading through the document files. I still feel like I should show you guys how I did the firewall thing, except for my start menu is upside down and I'm completely disoriented. Alright, so I'm going to go to my Windows firewall, and I'm going to go to advanced settings, and I'm going to go to inbound rules, and I created a node by just I think you just do a new rule, and it starts going through a help thing, which would basically say I want my port for this to be open, and it was I want it to be UDP, not TCP, because UDP is apparently the better, more stable stream. And the port number is by default is 11111, so 5 ones. And you allow the connection. And I don't think it really matters if I'm behind a router firewall. So I'm going to call this one stream face link stream, just for the sake of separating it from the previous one. So this is my face link stream now, and that's allowing my inbound rule for that one port. I think the other one I did was called face link app for Unreal, so they're almost the same. That was my original one. I also did an outbound rule, but I'm not sure if that actually matters or not. I was just desperate at that point. Maybe Dave can confirm that or not. But if you edit one that you've already created, you can just come in here and change. Oh, see, it's still set to TCP. So it definitely does not matter about outbound rules, because it has to be UDP. That's definitely the communication channel going on. In fact, I should just delete this. So that's how I did it. And I better delete my original one so that I can prove that we're still safe. And definitely still works at this point anyway. Okay, so what are we doing for time? We're doing great for time. I guess we'll jump right over to doing some blend shapes and see if we can actually make some of this stuff. You can actually export stuff out of Unreal. We could just do that for fun to see what happens. So if I go to the skeletal mesh, this is the skeletal mesh for the head, and you can go to Asset Actions and Export, and we're gonna go to put it in. I don't know. We can just put it in here for fun. So it's gonna export it as an FBX file, and I'm curious to see if it brings the blend shapes along, and that would be kind of fun if it does. Export morph targets, true. Level of detail, I don't think we need that. FBX 2013, anything past FBX 2012 is pretty decent. I wouldn't really worry about it after that. Collision, I don't know. I think that's all irrelevant. This is a skeletal mesh, not a static mesh. So we'll jump over to Maya. Hey, Sean. Sean says the eye movement is the coolest part. Is it? Because I can't see. You guys appreciate it. I can't even tell. Every time I look at it, it's looking at me, and it's just like in a mirror. I'd like to be able to test the eye a little bit better. I just have to be really fast and shifty with my eyes. Anyway, thanks for joining, Sean. Appreciate that you came and got the stream here. We've got a couple things we want to talk about today, so we definitely think can fill our time pretty condensed today. Dave says, rewatch your stream later. Rewatch your stream later. Are you saying you're leaving? Oh, to see. Oh, I thought you were saying I'm gonna have to rewatch your stream later. Yeah, exactly. That's the only way. You gotta record it and then look at it. There is a way to record it actually. If you go to Windows Cinematics take recorder, or I think maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's sequence recorder is what we're looking for. And then you say, oh boy, we haven't done this in a while. Add, I think you actually have to do, you have to have it playing. Oh, it is playing, so that works out good. Somehow I managed to jump out of it. If you ever want to jump out of a plain Unreal session, like it is now in the viewport where I've lost my mouse control, I can hit F8, and then it still works in the background, but I'm able to work around in my editor. And so it's going to make a sequencer file, recorded sequencer file. I really have to pick the right character though. So, not sure how I'm going to do that here. I just add that. There we go. I get rid of this empty one. So it's going to record what's going on with this character. And we'll do one take. So I'm gonna record. Oh, I gotta wait. I'm gonna record, do my eye shifting, blinking, doing all the normal testing here. Stop all see if it works. It's recorded sequence. Let's open it up. I gotta stop the playback now. What did we get here? 8. Oh, looks like we got some animation data here. Got some animation data, but which one is me? I'm still in there. How do I not see myself? Oh well. Anyways, it doesn't matter because it didn't work. That's apparently not how you do it. I did grab the what was it? Looks like the blueprint character, so I'm not sure. There should be an animation track. In the content browser. There it is. Ah, there we go. So it did work. So it captures all the keys from all our blend shapes. So it is one ugly looking animation though, especially when I start going extreme. It's pretty clean though. I mean, you're getting tons of data. Like these are some pretty dense key attributes here. So it's not like it's 24 frames a second. It looks like it's pretty high capture rate. But those are all the blend shapes and all the different curve data. So this is kind of what you'd have to do if you wanted to bring some sort of facial motion capture or facial animation from Maya into Unreal. You have to export it with all this data from all the different blend shapes as well. Which, to be quite honest, I actually don't have a lot of experience with that because we usually use joints-based animation, and I'm not really all that familiar with blend shape workflow, especially in Unreal 4. Anyways, there you go. So that was kind of fun. Let's jump over to Maya and see if we can make some blend shapes, since I just finished talking about how I don't know very much about it. We're going to try to open that scene that we exported from Unreal. It's actually an FBX, so I can't open it. I got to import it. We should at least get the static mesh. And this is how you can export any kind of character too. Like if skeletal meshes, you'll get the skeletons from them. The part that I'm curious about is if we'll get the blend shapes too. It's a whole bunch of hidden meshes here, so it looks pretty promising. Turn them on. Wait a minute, where are they? Oh, here they are. Oh, they're all brought over to the 0 origin here. Anyway, that's how you do blend shapes, so yeah, you can actually get them. Their pivot point is way off, and they're all rotated by 90 degrees, so clearly there was not a perfect, wasn't like a perfect conversion maybe from exporting out of Unreal to Maya. You have to remember that everything is Z up in Unreal, and everything is Y up in Maya. So it's often you'll get these weird confusion when you're importing stuff where everything is sideways. So it's interesting to see that the skeleton itself came in the right way, but the morph targets did not get imported the same. But it shouldn't matter. It doesn't really matter the location of the morph targets. It's more about their vertex positions. And so I should be able to still find them if they're still hooked up to this thing. Otherwise we can just hook it up ourselves. Let's see here. Forget how to do this. Animation, shape editor. Oh yeah, they're still hooked up. So inside the shape editor, it lets you do, control each of the blend shapes, and this is how you hook them up and wire them up. And if they're all wired up, then you can export them into Unreal, and they'll maintain their connection. So got lots of them here. This is weird. This jaw open, that was how it was intended to be made, and that is not what I was looking at in the web page here. We look at jaw open. we are looking at a very wide open mouth. Very different. JD Smith says, when you do blend shapes, does the topology have to be finalized, retopologized before proceeding? Yes. I mean, yes and no, but yes from a basic standpoint. Hey, Gash is here. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, so like and this is where blend shapes gets really messy, but there is some really good tools to fix it and workflows. And from what I have heard, they're quite easy to, well, it's quite doable to make a pipeline where you can have, you're basically using like a wrapping deformer that allows you to take a newly modified mesh and make it match the position of a old mesh, even if the vertex count is different. So you can wrap these fixed meshes into the old meshes with very minimal amount of modifications required. So it is possible to get a really nice workflow there, and you could use the same workflow to apply it to different characters that haven't got any facial poses. So this, you know, I'm saying this and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. In theory, we could bring these blend shapes and use them to try and deform our skull chaser mesh in the same way, but I feel like the skull chaser mesh is so different that I doubt we're going to get the kind of quality that we're hoping for here. Oh, and Sarah's here. So welcome, Sarah. Aussies are here. Yeah. I have to do my Call Arts class right after the stream, so that's going to be exciting. My first Call Arts class for the term. They put it right after the stream. So a good solid 4 hours of me doing high intensity stuff. Anyway, this is kind of fun that they managed to get the morphs out here. So and to be able to see it like lined up here. So this is sort of the idea of what I was going to do for the for our skull chaser character if we were to try and bail on our original strategy where we were trying to do bone and joint based exports. So I'm going to open up another Maya scene with the face poses that we've had before. And I still think we could wire it into the Unreal Anim Graph in a way that we can replicate the flow that we have with the Kite Boy. But because I spent 0 time R&Ding it, it's ridiculous to be, oh yeah, you just do this and this and this. But if you can just figure out one example to get one target to work, then I was thinking we could make a Python script to make that happen over and over and over again. And that way, if we do ever happen to come into back into Maya and make some modifications, then you wouldn't have to like kill yourself trying to bring all those morphs out again. It would be kind of an automated process. It was a cool idea, but I mean, it's quite hypothetical. Like, it could actually require tons of development time, which I'm not interested in doing. But it is nice to know that if it does work, then you can do a joint-based morphs. But anyway, here's our timeline here. We've got all the morphs too, but we've done them potentially incorrectly, especially with the mouth open here. But we've gone through the trouble of making all the morphs. But they're all just joints modifying this skeletal mesh. So in theory, just like what we did with, let's find a target that's a little more obvious. We'll do mouth open. In fact, we want to do this anyways because this is what my test is going to be. I can grab this mesh and I can hit Control D, and that will allow me to, well, except for it's locked. Oh my goodness, what did I just do with that mesh? Unlock these meshes so I can move it out of the way here. Okay, so that's another way that you can make morph targets. So one of them is still an animated mesh, but meanwhile I've got myself technically a morph target. So, I mean, I could write a script too, and in fact this could very well be my first NXT script that I could make, which is another tool set that we're going to talk about today. Yeah, we're not even halfway through the session yet, so I'm going to go through the process of installing this and installing the Maya plugin and getting it working. This is something that we talked about. We had a webinar with these guys that talked about how it works, and it's pretty exciting stuff because it's a lot better than I thought it was. And I actually literally, when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, I don't get it. And then the second time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I still don't get it. But it wasn't until we did the webinar, and then I'm like, oh. So, and they're about to release the support to be able to handle Unreal Python scripting as well. So exactly what I'm dealing with right now is a perfect example of how I could potentially be like automating these morph blends and exporting them and then hooking them all up, or doing some kind of crazy funky thing that works on 2 platforms. Very exciting, but also kind of daunting. And what was I going to say with this one? J. Smith says Python and Unreal, nice. Yeah, Python and Unreal has been for a while actually. It's integrated into Unreal, but this is a node-based wiring that communicates between softwares easily and runs on Python. So Python for Maya, Python for Unreal. We're definitely down a really interesting road. Yeah. I mean, I'm saying it's Python's on Unreal, but I haven't actually used it yet. So, but they released that in 420 or something like that. It was it's been quite a few versions, and I think it's specifically to deal with these kind of facial rigging pipeline problems where you have like 3,000 things to put in, and if you can just write a script that does it, it's almost ridiculous that you were ever trying to do it any other way. J. Smith says, thought it was only C++ or whatever. Yeah, well, the back end and everything foundation-wise is C++. This Python scripting is specifically for technical artists doing blueprint wiring. Like it's really meant for assisting the interaction pipeline, not so much how the game functions or runs or anything like that underneath. Anyway, we'll get into that in a bit. It'll be kind of nice though to work from it from a 0 point standpoint and really see how it works, especially if I can come up with a nice example of why we're trying to use it. Like there's all these scripts that I wrote in previous streams about how we can mirror the joints over, and this is a perfect situation as well of something that you would integrate into NXT, but they're all written in Mel, so I'm gonna have to like take it and convert it and then think about it and do it. So we might do that as well, but we'll get into the pros and cons more later. Right now, let's just see if we can get this exported. We're gonna take this mesh and then we're gonna shift select that mesh so that we can bind the blend shapes into it. And so the order that I selected it is really important, and I don't know if I got it right, so I'm gonna try this first. We go back to the shape editor for this mesh, and we're gonna hit create blend shape. And so now we have a blend shape, and we're gonna try it and see what happens. I was not expecting it to fly into the air. Oh shoot. What did I do wrong? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I haven't done blend shapes in so long. Now I'm all like, wait a minute, is that even the right way? What else can I do? Add target? It shot up into the air because the vertices are probably offset by a large amount from the ground. But I don't know why it's any different than what the original was that I duplicated it from, so I don't understand that one exactly. We'll try a few ideas before I give up on this one. I can't even unlock it. Not be unlocked. Oh, it's a reference mesh. Oh, maybe that's why it's referenced. Interesting. All right, let's try it the other way around. Let's go this one to this one. I know that's not correct, but we'll just do it anyways. Get rid of everything, create blend shape. Oh, I forgot to actually do a target. Let's go back to the mouth open. See, everything I'm doing right now could be a script. It'll save you a lot of trouble. Alright, this, that, create, move this to 0. And what have I done? Why is this not at all looking correct to what I was expecting here? Okay, so like the 5th time I tried it, it worked great. What am I doing wrong here? I believe it is something to do with it because it's a reference mesh. It's just having a lot of trouble figuring this out. Now it's just working every time. Wow, that's so weird. Anyway, I've got it backwards because the blend shape isn't supposed to be the one that is the one that's moving. It's supposed to be the actual face itself. And we'll do it again. And the head's flying around. Wow. It is really not at all making any sense to me right now. Well, it must be a hierarchy issue, like in terms of a processing hierarchy issue maybe, and like it's kind of screwed up because it's inside of that mesh. I don't know, disappointed. I kind of anticipated this to go a lot better than that. Well, anyway, we'll have a blend shape connected, we'll export it anyways, and then we'll see if they actually connect through, because there's a couple settings you have to do when you export it. And we'll see, maybe it'll act the same, maybe it won't. I'm gonna grab all the necessary pieces for exporting the mesh. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, it's a skeletal mesh export that has to be done for these morphs. So we're in a tricky spot here. We definitely want to take the animation has to go into the actual rig, like a raw rig, and then I have to re-export the skeletal mesh instead of it being referenced. So yeah, we can talk about animation exports. Oh shoot. Or maybe what you could do is export all the morphs, save them out, bring them into the rig file, and then you build it from the rig file. You could do that too, I guess. I don't know, let's try this animation export. Maybe somebody might find this interesting. So if I pick all the facial bones, I can export the animation and import it onto another file using Atom as the animation exporter. So we're gonna try and pick all the facial joints here, and there's no guarantee that this is going to work because Atom is a very tricky software to get right, because it's just basically putting animation on joints in a very like non-prescripted way. It can be pretty useful though. I almost wonder if I can do this differently. Maybe if I go inside the I just pick all these. Face, 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 tongue, 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 tongue. Inside the... do a select hierarchy. Okay, let's see if we can just do that. That might be a safer way to do it anyways. So these are all the joints that I'm rotating. Oh, minus this one though. I gotta add that one too. That are actually moving and rotating for the animation. And I'm going to do a file Atom animation export, which is Maya-based way to do it. Oh yeah, JD Smith has some experience with it apparently. Let's see what he's saying here. Atom is wonky, but damn, it has saved me my tush before. That's hilarious. Yeah, me too. Export animation. It's a bit crazy because you get into these settings and you're like, whoa, what's happening right now? So we just want regular animation. I don't even know if we want to bake the animation. That would make a lot of keys. Of the selected objects, all keyable, time range all. Oh, what am I missing here? I'm missing the whole saving location. There we go. So I'm specifically saving the controller animation, not the joint animation. It's kind of important to realize that. All right, applied. Now I'm going to open up another version of Maya. So I can keep this one open in the background. And we're going to go open up the rig file, and we're going to import the animation into the rig file and see if that actually works. Otherwise, we'll do plan B. And plan B might involve NXT, but I'm not sure. Probably. Okay. So we're going to open up the rig file. Where is the rig file? This one. And I'm not going to reference it or anything. That's causing half my problems. Although it's possible that it had nothing to do with it, and I'll find out real soon. So this is a raw rig file where if you were going to make a change to the rig file, you would do it in this one, and then you'd save it, and those animation files that we were just looking at before would automatically pull in all those changes. So it is actually kind of cool, although I do have to be careful what I'm doing here because it could be also quite destructive, particularly if I'm adding facial animation. So I may not save it as the same file for a while. But ideally what I'm trying to do is create a bunch of blend shapes that will become a blend shape library, and then I'll clear off all the animation off the face bones. I'm trying to figure out how to turn the face joint controllers on. Face visibility. Oh, I did it. I wasn't even paying attention. All right, so I'm going to select all of the face joints in the same order. So select hierarchy, and then I shift select the chin, and I'm going to go atom import animation, which is the other half of how this works. And then let's see here, find the file. And we got to kind of come up with a similar process here. Selected, match hierarchy, from file. There's no animation on it currently, so that should just be okay. Cross fingers, hold breath. Hey, look at that. It worked. There we go. How many frames was this? 250, I think. Or more. Oh, it's more than 250 frames. Status active, computer code. Yeah, well, one small problem solved. Off to the next problem. So now I have these facial blend shapes here. I think I'm going to save this as a different file right now before I accidentally do it. I'm going to call it face targets. And then now this is where I have to get to the NXT workflow again, because I gotta make these blend shapes. Oh, I was gonna do a test though. Let's just make sure this works before I get too deep into this. So on frame 90, take this mesh, Control D, allow myself to translate it, and then actually I guess now that it's not referenced anymore, I could just undo the whole thing. All right, go back to frame 0 so we can see a difference. I pick this mesh and then that mesh, and we go Windows, Animation, Shape Library, and we're gonna do create blend shape based on the selection, and the face still explodes. Awesome. Clearly, there's some sort of deformer that is beyond my comprehension about how this is going to work. And the blend shape has to modify the mesh for that or something. I don't know. There's some other magic trick that has to happen here, which I forget how to do all that stuff. Okay. It is actually one of the real big complications of rigging too, where like you have to make sure that your blend shape isn't driving the mesh after the, like you want the skinning deformer to modify the mesh, and then you want the blend shape to modify the mesh, and the order that that happens in actually influences what the final mesh looks like. So it's very likely that's exactly what's happening, where I need to get the blend shape to modify the mesh and then let the skinning deform it afterwards. And there's some sort of place where I can change the hierarchy of that, but I've never had much luck with it, so. I don't know, am I still working? Okay. Sarah asked whether I am not live anymore, but from what I can tell, I am, so hopefully that's still true for everybody else. Seems correct. So anyway, what we're gonna do is just export this test and see what happens, and then if it doesn't work, then I will jump to a new plan here before this gets too dry. So we got to do the export of the skeletal mesh, and I have a selection set that I created of the skeletal mesh, so I'm just going to select those objects, and that's going to give me seems like it also got the blend shape in there. It's going to give me all the joints and the meshes that I use for the export. So I'm going to export selection, and we're going to put it back into that folder. I might even still have the skeletal mesh export here. And it's gonna be very important that I turn off animation, otherwise it's gonna export all those facial animation stuff. So notice I only have smoothing groups turned on. Oh, did I check that into Perforce? Weird. Apparently I did. It's probably a good idea to check that in Perforce. I might be able to cross-compare changes if things stop working. Export selection again. And we'll go to the skeletal mesh. We'll see what happens here. Come back to Unreal. Oh, well, we gotta jump back to the correct Unreal. Perhaps I don't even have it open yet. Alright, we're gonna open up Anim Backdrops project, where we have our skull chaser mesh. And Sarah's noticing her computer's laggy. Must be doing some crazy work in the background there, Sarah. That actually does happen to me sometimes, so if my video does get very laggy, then let me know. Although I can't just restart OBS without closing my stream, so never mind, I can't really fix that very easily in a stream. Okay, so we have our character mesh. We even have a special map for it. There we go. And then we have, now we're going to update the skeletal mesh file. I should just be able to hit re-import. And because I replaced the original skeletal mesh file, it should just come in. I'm lucky. Oh, I forgot to turn on the checkbox though. So when you are importing, I'm going to turn on import morph targets. It's a very important checkbox. Even if you're bringing in a new mesh there, you have to go find this checkbox inside the list of options. Re-import. Fingers crossed that it would just show up magically. Did not show up magically. There it is. I had to reopen it. Close it and reopen it. Naturally. Alright, let's see what happens here when I try this morph target. Well, the morph target accurately does exactly what happens in Maya. This is very useful. So yeah, I don't know. Clearly I have something that I'm not doing correctly here. I don't really know exactly what it is, to be honest. I'll put that down on my list of things I gotta figure out if I'm gonna do morph targets that way. Alright, in the meantime, let's go back to, let's see if we can do what we got currently. So what happened last week was, Sarah says, I'm not actually, not actually, usually need UE4 Maya. Photoshop. Everything open before lag. I hear ya. Okay, so what happened last week was we built a morph target, independent morph target, just by using create assets. So this morph target is considered a pose, and a pose you can create from create current pose. So we just scrubbed, I think we actually just scrubbed the timeline of our animation. And so this again would be a potential Python script to solve this issue. We have this animation which plays that has all the face poses from the bone joint based animation, and then we just found one that worked. Maybe we'll do this one. Problem I had was I couldn't get to the accurate frame very well, so I need to get to 95, and I'm at 95 asterisks, which means I'm not perfectly on the frame. And then you go to create current pose, and it says where do you want to put the current pose, and I'm going to make sure I call it something more useful. So maybe I'll call it P, sometimes you call that particle pose, which is mouth open. Oh man, this is so much stuff here. Skull, chaser, mouth. I forget what this target's called. It's like mouth open and then something. Mouth open, mouth closed maybe. I don't know. Luckily, I have used bookmarks. Hold on. Luckily, I have used bookmarks to find what the pose names are. So if I mouse over here, it says mouth closed. So I've manually put all these bookmarks in by using this little button down here. And I have not quite confirmed whether this has been that useful or not, but anyway, here we are. Mouth closed. Did I just make an animation file? I thought I made a pose. Okay, so I just made an animation file. That was not what I wanted to do. Let me try that again. I don't understand why that went like that. Clearly, I clicked on the wrong button. Pose asset, create current pose. There we go. Must have done it wrong before. So that little red icon makes it so that it's more like a blend shape. And so I'm going to see if I can somehow use that to my advantage. And this one I don't want, so don't know why. Let's see here. Delete this. Too random. Hi. I'm Portuguese, so my English is not very good. It's alright. Welcome. Thanks for joining. What am I doing? So I am trying to do face live linking, which I currently have on the other version of Unreal here, from an iPad to the Unreal using Unreal's live link. And so we've kind of gone through the process of confirming that at least we can get something working. Now I'm trying to put it on my character, which involves more challenges than it should, because I have decided to do my morphs as joint based rather than actual morph targets. And so what I want to do now is just, you know, see if I can get these two morphs that I have and get them to drive something inside of here now that I've got it. Oh, I haven't actually run live link, so turn on live link. I don't know if I can run it in two different things here. Let's find out. No, it doesn't really like that I'm doing this right now. Okay, well, I'm gonna close the other one. Or wait, maybe I just turn it off. I don't even know if that's gonna work. How does that actually make sense? Riz says my land speeder has landing gear. Very good. Sounds like fun. And T Random says, so cool. Hey, can you please help me in one thing? Okay. Depends on what the one thing is. Add virtual subject. I think I gotta be more careful about how I'm closing all this stuff, because it's clearly not liking what I've just decided to do. I'm closing things. Just try the live link one more time. Ah, there it goes. This time it worked. Definitely can't have two Unreals open feeding live link at the same time. Lesson learned. All right, so we've got that live link, and then we'll jump over to the animation blueprint for it. Make sure we hook this up. So we are now driving face rig onto here, even though nothing will happen because I haven't got anything hooked up. Although there was supposed to be head joint movement, so to be honest, it should actually be working. Something is supposed to be working, I think. Yeah, because it's just taking joint and neck 03 and head skull. Well, that sucks. Let me just cross-reference that with the kite demo character. I do notice that the kite demo character is not 4.26, it is 4.25, because the menu interface did look a little bit different between the two of them. That is interesting. Oi, Raphaelia. There you go. Oi? That's all you wanted me to say? Raphaelia? Are you gonna... Is it because I'm terrible at pronouncing names? Wait, sorry. I'm trying to get to the other... Oh, here it is. AR face sample. That's what I want to open. So I'm going to open the AR face sample in the back, and I'm not going to turn on live link. I just want to look at the wiring and see what the setups here are. Because there was quite a lot of differences, and one of them was the fact that this is coming from a value attribute, and I don't remember any of the setup coming from anywhere else. So we've got all this like get properties. Oh, here, look, I haven't got this in there yet. There we go. That's all I had to do. I don't even think they had that in the other setup. Okay, let's crank up some of these values. So head roll is, we'll just crank that up to 90. Oh, that's not even looking like it's in the right order here. Head yaw is 90. What? Oh, okay. It kind of makes sense the order might be wrong because we're just talking about like somebody's rigging. Like somebody decided the joint orientation should be one way and somebody decided the joint orientation should be another. That's the only thing that we're going off of. So the fact that roll pitch yaw isn't exactly correct is totally reasonable. So we want head roll to maybe arrive a different value here. Maybe we'll just simplify this down here so we just get one value. Why does that seem correct? Oh wait, it's this one. Yeah, right? That seems right. So left, right, left, right. Too random. That's it, thank you. Bye, see you the next time. Good luck. Alright, see you, too random. Definitely random. Alright, head pitch. So let's put that into the roll. Nothing. Crank that up so I can actually see what's going on here. Take that off. Okay, so that's that one. Head pitch, yeah, that's... I mean, it's inverted. It's also on an angle. That's not very good. There's no other values going on here. It's just head pitch, and yet for some reason it's coming off slightly on an angle. Maybe it's because it thinks I'm pointing in a different way. Anyway, I should be able to match it all up now. Perfect. Just as I was hoping it would be. I feel like we've got an issue where the joint isn't oriented very accurately. Yeah, this is definitely side to side. It's driving. Let's take off some of the rotation values here. Alright, that's making it a lot easier. It might actually be there's a different set of rules depending on which joint you're attaching it to. So currently this one is assigned to the skull. And that is definitely the action for the roll, I would say. Wait. That's not right. Pitch, I guess. There we go. So that's going to my right and his right. That is actually accurate. And head roll. We got nothing. What? How are we getting... Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Okay. So that goes here. That goes here. That goes here. It's like solving a puzzle here. There we go. Got them all in there. And then so whatever's going on with this bone is obviously using a different coordinate system, so putting them together is complicated. So I'm just going to leave it. This is actually pretty good right now. I don't need to necessarily... what am I trying to say with that? Oh, I don't need to figure it all out right now on the fly. Yeah, so there we go. What am I doing? Oh, I want to see if I can get one of those morph targets to work. And then we'll move over to the NXT stuff, because we're already 20 minutes after the hour, which is pretty impressive that we got that far. There was, what's this note say? Input pose was visible but ignored. Okay. Since I've got this other project open, I'm gonna try grab something here. Okay, I don't know if applies calibration. It might be important. Maybe we want to do that, I don't know. I feel like the oh, this is the calibration offsets. How much data is in here? Ooh, all of them. And they're all set to 0. Oh, that's weird. Maybe that's something that I'm supposed to play with in order for this calibration to be correct to my face. So this actually does nothing, based on what I've just discovered. Just goes in, comes out, exactly the same way that it was raw data was brought in. So this is a raw data modify curve. Don't understand what that means, but for noise removal. And this is handlers for corrective blend shapes, like if you are looking both down and right at the same time. Yeah, so for some reason, somehow that makes sense. But it's only for the eye blinks. Oh, what's this one? Drives joint rotation, kite, heads, joints, blend. What? What is that? What does that mean? We have a whole asset for it. Oh yeah, this is the asset. Hey look, they got one of those nodes too. Ooh, this seems promising if this is gonna work. That might be closer than I realize. Okay, so that was just an asset. Well, let me try that then. How do you do that? You just type it in, source pose. Okay, that was right at the very end after all the calibration. Skull Chaser pose asset mouth open. Look at that, I've already got it in there. I'm pretty sure I did this as a wild experiment, not because I knew what I was doing. But I've only got the one target in that one asset, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna merge targets into the same asset. That might be a little more crazy, but everything looks exactly the same. Blend is linear. How do I... Oh, hold on. Let's look at what the names are here. Pose 0. That's probably where I'm going wrong. And then over here we have all the correct names here. So what I need to do is put this name in here, jaw open, onto this one. So please let me rename it. Yay. Jaw open. Save. There it is. It's working. Yay. It's got something. How come it's not moving the head anymore? That's weird. It must be overriding all of the head movement after that. So maybe this is supposed to be like a additive or something. Let's go take another look. Ingsoc. Ingsoc. always wanted to do an animation course at CG Spectrum, but I found out that my ADHD makes it hard to get through even 10-minute tutorial videos. So going through a 3 to 5 hour tutorial is impossible. See, that's interesting that you make that argument, because I would have thought that ADHD is great for CG Spectrum because you can just watch the videos when you're ready, as opposed to having to sit through a classroom lecture. So you can just be like, and the videos are always a maximum of 10 minutes long, so you only got to do 10 minutes per video. And personally, with my, I don't know if I have hyperactive disorder, but I have definitely attention deficit disorder. And I mean, I think everybody can claim they have attention deficit disorder to some degree. But I do much better when I'm actively working on something. So the way the courses work is you're watching the video, but you're also supposed to be repeating what the video is doing in your own session. So you can only watch so much anyways, and then you repeat it and you pause and you play and then you pause. And I find that for me personally, that ends up being a much better learning lesson. I spent so much of my life in high school and school, and I don't remember any of it because I just zoned out and didn't pay attention. Like I wanted to pay attention, but my brain just starts going on its own thing, and then before you know it, the bell rang and it's like, oh, I don't even know what they just talked about today. It wasn't until I got older that I realized that's actually like not normal, or at least not the way it's supposed to be. I'm like, oh, I thought that's what happened to everybody. But it also explained why I almost failed high school. I got like that close. I almost failed. Luckily at the end I was able to take some art courses and did much better. But I remember I had to get like my English, my fifth English. I had to go to like summer school, and it was just barely made it. Alright, so where am I going with this? Lost focus for a second. It's a good question though. Wasn't even a question really. So if this is overriding let me just let's check out the settings here. If this is overriding, all results have been filtered. Try changing your action. Filtered. What are you talking about? Oh, that's local component. That's not what I want. Oh, look at this. This happens before this happens. So I got it in the orders in the wrong place. So I actually have to take this out. And this is the same order problem that we were talking about with Maya too, except for it's so much harder to like change the order in Maya. And even in 3D Max, like it's pretty easy to change the order. But in Maya, I've never really felt comfortable about that whole process. Alright, so we're gonna put this, it's not even supposed to be a local component aspect here. It's supposed to be just this. So I'm gonna go straight from the live link to this, and then we'll compile it. There we go. Now we got the head movement, and we have some jaw movement, which is just enough jaw movement to make it look like I'm talking a little bit. Open my mouth in order for me to... It's kind of cool with the mask. The helmet is actually moving though. But I guess the rest of it is going to be driven by lip movements and stuff, right? So you don't necessarily have to have... Although, what lip movements? Do we make a lot of lip targets? We only just have a few of them. Wonder how you can enhance that. I guess that's the whole calibration thing they were doing over in the other project. Maybe we should go try it out. See if we can get some of that calibration working. We can like beef up the mouth open. So we're talking about I have no idea what this is. It's a calibration offset asset variable type. And then we just break it up so that there's multiple pieces to it. Okay. Calibration offset value variable. So we'll make a new one called Calibration. It's so not gonna show up, is it? How else can I do this? Oh, I can maybe promote it to a variable. Try that instead. So we're gonna create one that's called, where am I here? Let's just jump back, I get the name right. Modify curve, create calibration offset. Now, let me just take a look at what that's definitely called calibration offset structure. Does that mean that there is actually a, there it is. I don't know, I think I just have to get it in there. What's the deal? Why can't I just get that to show up here? Calibration. Huh. I don't quite know how to make one. Calibration status. That outputs a different kind of value. I think that's just like a integer or something. Oh, it's an enumerator. But that's how you can, if you can just get the output. Oh, I know, I'm gonna hit Control C, Control V. Let's try that. It's like the cheating way to do it. Oh, haha, it does work. It's awesome. So the variable doesn't exist in my thing, but I do have the output, so I should be able to say promote to variable. Oh, look at that, it doesn't even let me do it. What was wrong with that? Did it tell me what was wrong with that? I just missed it. It's like, no. You're not allowed to do that. Let's try making it in here instead. It does not know what I'm trying to do here. This might be either a custom feature or a it might be a legacy feature that goodness, now what have I done? That got dropped between 4.25 and 4.26, or it's some sort of custom asset that's created from maybe the content browser. Man, what did I do wrong? I just broke things. Oh, maybe I have to get rid of these variables. Fix fatal issues. Oh my goodness. This is called walking backwards. Shoot. What did I do wrong? Wow, maybe we should switch over to NXT now. Now that I've completely broken it. Let me just try one more thing that I'm curious to see is if there is anything called calibration in here. What am I looking for? Miscellaneous. Any kind of calibration things in here. Wasn't there a calibration node that I was... Or was it modify curve? No, I don't know. Anyways, so I'll have to look into that more. Let's jump over to the next problem, since I just got into a wall there and I don't even want to save anything because it may just totally corrupt what I've just done there. So what we're going to do next with our remaining 20 minutes is install NXT. So let me just reintroduce what NXT is again, so that's a little more relevant to what's going on here. Sorry, I have to find the web page that I had for it. Oh, I must have closed it. All right, well, oh no, here it is. I was gonna say, we'll really start from the scratch. So NXT is software. Let me just see how you do it again. NXT. Oh yeah, there's a WWE NXT, which I don't know what that means, so. How do you find it otherwise? Man, how did I find it? NXT/dev. Guess that's what you're looking for. It is part of GitHub. So this tool, what it's allowing us to do is put Python scripts into the nodes and run the Python scripts individually. And it has a very useful pipeline perspective for both small issues and large pipeline studio issues. And the key element is that it's free because it's open source. So there is no cost to have it. And it's easily something that you can integrate into your own tool set. And the reason why I'm looking forward to using it today is because you can see here, I have all these scripts, random scripts on the front page there. And they're a bit of a mess to maintain and work with. So this is a perfect example of things that could be like little text files that represent what the script does. So currently what the script does is if I take one half of the face, I can mirror it over to the other side of the face, and it does a job of like making sure that both halves are the same. This other button is doing just the like the face bones, because they have a different rule than the jaw bones, the mouth bone controllers, I mean. So it's kind of critical to have all these scripts, but they're just so loose and unorganized, and they could be made in a way that's probably a lot more modular, so that I could actually give them to somebody and they could also work on this and have this script that does their own custom solutions. So it's kind of a nice example. And then there's also this conversation about how you can take these and feed them into other platforms. Like you can take Maya-based solutions and have it automatically read into Unreal-based platforms, and produce much larger, more complex pipelines that allow you to like take all these facial poses, convert them into morph targets, and then export them out into Unreal, and then categorize them into a special form of thing that you can be used and updated into the face target. So I can go over here and make some animation poses, changes, push the script, makes all the targets, builds it, throws it over there, assembles it, and right away you got instant results from your fixes. So it's a great example, and it's actually one of the big bottlenecks we had with facial capturing was, well, basically the pipeline for facial rigging is hugely tedious, and for me to try to teach it to anybody, it's like, oh yeah, and then we have to custom build this extremely complex, elaborate setup and pipeline for it, and it doesn't really make sense because it's going to be so specific to that one pipeline. So this is kind of nice because it's an open source tool, so I could just give you like a text file, you could open it, you would have a cool pipeline, and then you could do this with auto rigging too. So like, we have all these auto riggers that exist, like with Advanced Skeleton, and they are all very useful, very well made auto rigging tools. But in theory, if people were open source world sharing their auto rigging tools, you could have little text files that you could run that would basically build auto rigs or build parts and pieces and stuff, and it's a lot more manageable than trying to get a script into Maya and trying to figure out whether it's Mel or Python, and then trying to get it to run in here, and explaining that whole process. I'm hoping that this NXT is going to be a lot easier to bridge for people, and a lot more universal between Maya, Blender, Houdini, Unreal. Like there's like a whole bunch of interesting overlap because it's not, you know, owned by Autodesk specifically or anything. Oscar, awesome. Simon, awesome that you're here, and glad you're listening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install this from scratch because you know, I've kind of already almost did it, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till the stream. We've got 15 minutes to do this, so we're gonna get this done nice and tidy. And what they're asking is, you know, if you have a different platform, or if you're installing it in software. So in this case, we're going to do the Maya installation as a plugin, but you can install it as a standalone in Windows. And they have an interesting, you know, you put in a virtual machine, you type in a Unix command, a Linux command, but that's you don't have to do that to get this to work. You can just, if you're going to use it in Maya, you can just install the Maya plugin. And let's see, we go to the latest version. It's going to take us to the GitHub page, which allows us to find the latest version right away. And then we just come down here and look for the Maya zip file. And so we grab that. You can see I've already got a version of it. I'll try to get rid of all this other stuff. And so I'm going to unzip it here. And we end up with a folder, and inside the folder we have a bunch of files. So I'm going to take, for me personally, I want to put this folder into my Maya. So wherever this folder is, it has to be just like every other plugin for Maya. It's going to be calling these folders in their specific location on your hard drive. So you want to put them somewhere where that isn't going to get changed or deleted by accident. And the best place I like putting it is inside the documents under Maya. Inside of, there's actually a folder that you can create called modules, and I put it in here. And you can see I've got some other plugins that I've been using in the past. In fact, I think the mod has to be right inside of this modules folder, so it's possible that I do have to drag it out, which is going to kind of screw up some of my other plugins. That's going to be tricky. Apparently you can modify these mod files. Let me just take a look if I can modify this or not. Which one is it? This one? Open it with Notepad. Let's see my mod path. Shoot. Yes, you can mod it. I just don't know how I'm going to mod it. So let me see what the README says. Can I do this on the fly? Alright. I probably could do it on the fly, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just put these other plugins away. So I'm going to make a folder called temp, and we're going to put them all into temp. I got M-Gear and this Ziva Cheetah demo. Have you ever seen that Ziva Cheetah demo? They give you a free Cheetah demo rig that you can animate with, but it has to be running on their special plugin, which utilizes your video card much better than your CPU does in native Maya. So you can like make, so you can have like, they were doing these demonstrations of like massive amounts of characters, frame rates at like insanely good frame rates. You can still animate with them and do all this stuff, and they're like really high poly meshes and really complex stuff, and you're still getting great frame rate. So it's kind of a nice workaround plugin for working in Maya using sort of the processing support that you'd find from a more realistic game engine kind of power. But it costs money, so and the rig itself only works when it's playing that plugin, so you can't just sort of share it around or anything. It's very specific. And I think it's just a demo that you get for a short period of time. There's my NXT mod file in the modules folder. I'm going to open up Maya. I'm going to close Maya. And whoops, I just opened up the wrong Maya. I'm going to not save these things because I totally destroyed them. Good reason why having source control is quite handy. In case I accidentally did save it, I could always go back to my source control and recover it. But in order for these plugins to work, you do have to restart your Maya. And because it's in a modules folder, it probably will work whether I'm opening 2019 or 2018. Or 2020, I mean. So I may have already demonstrated that it was not going to work because of the fact it has not showed up yet. Oh, and then you have to add it to your, you have to make sure it's loaded in your plugins. That was another thing I gotta do still. Gotta first wait until my Maya finishes loading, of course. Alright, I don't have it in my list yet, so hopefully when I do my plugins thing here, plugin manager, and I'm gonna look for NXT. No. Shoot, what the heck do they call it? Is it ATF? No, it's in plugins folder. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me just go back to the Explorer folder. This is where things go like, oh man. Hopefully it works. Drag into Maya script. And then it pulls up this window where you're just supposed to say, save. And then I restart Maya. Important step there. I almost missed. Okay, time to reopen Maya. They have really good documentation that you can go through as well. There's installing Maya, but then there's also like how to use it. Tutorials. There we go. So they got lots of little videos. They're just quick, short videos. Start teaching you how to do it. I've gotten through about 5 or 6 of them, but also I kind of have a good sense of what's going on through the webinar, but I guess we'll see in a minute whether or not that's true or not. Okay, now I gotta open up the plugin. So I've got that part working. Let's go in the plugin manager. I should be able to see it this time. NX. There it is, NXT. It's not loaded yet, so I hit loaded. There it is. Got past that part. Okay, so NXT runs as a separate, basically window, and so it's just like this window in front of the window. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to merge it with anything. Probably not at this stage. And so now I get to the next stage here, which is what am I going to do with it? All right, so to create a new node, you right click and say add node, or you hit N. And so it's a node-based system, but it utilizes a lot of similar functionality, I think, than what you find in Houdini. And then down here is your Python script. So you can create a node that has a series of commands, and in the tutorials, he makes cubes and stuff, which is very cool. So I mean, I could maybe look into how to create a cube, but let's try and actually do something functional right away. Since I'm down to 5 minutes, I'm going to open up the animation file, and let's see here. We got to get to the animation file here. Everything's upside down or something. It doesn't seem right. Face poses, animation. Hey. And so a pipeline like this is useful because, I may have already done all the poses and it seems like the job's finished, but realistically it's not. I'm going to be coming back and making lots of little tweaks and fixes and iterations. And that's going to be, I think, the majority of the time spent doing this work is the iterations, not so much the actual getting it finished. So this is, the investment that you do setting up a pipeline is actually really pay off. And there's a whole like philosophy about how making it easy to make fixes it enables you psychologically to want to make fixes. So if it's very painful to make a fix, you're most likely not to make a fix, which means your end result is uglier than it needed to be. So having a nice tidy pipeline so that you're like, oh, I'll just do a little tweak, and you're going to end up with a much better result in the end. Okay, so we're gonna, what am I doing here? I'm gonna take this. This, by the way, is not Python. This is Mel. I'm gonna try to take this function. Maybe I'll do it not inside of a function, but I'll take the code. This is actually not gonna work. I'm gonna have to convert a lot of this over, which may or may not be an enjoyable experience. Wow. Okay, so now I gotta find this window here. Oh shoot. There it is. And I'll see if I can paste this in here. Nope. Instant fail. I can't even write anything, so I must be doing something wrong. It's telling me my history of what's going on, which is kind of cool. Entitled. This is there's UWE changes it so that this code shows dynamically or not. I thought maybe that was going to give me the solution, but why can't I just edit it right away? It's really weird. Thought for sure I was just gonna be able to like get in there and start typing stuff. Seems like what he did in the tutorial video. What did I do wrong? You can add like these parented items too, and it's very interesting because coming from like the perspective of a programmer, it's quite nice to see that you can like basically inherit all the, it's literally like material instances or blueprint instances. So you've got your parent, which would be like your parent material where you have all your wiring, and then you have these instances of it that you can add and manipulate those values from your parent onto it, which is kind of a cool concept. Definitely looking forward to seeing how that works. As I sit here with 2 minutes left and unable to make any edits, I'll go to the oh, everything's just dying on me here. Which one crashed? I accidentally opened up a 2019, but I'm gonna guess it's probably the NXT that just crashed. Yeah. Alright, so I've just experienced a crash. I was a little afraid that if I try to demo the NXT, it will end up with a terrible like impression of the software. It'll be like, this is the worst software ever. And solely because I don't know what I'm doing. But what will happen is I'm gonna eventually figure out how that can be utilized here. And then eventually I'm gonna, in my streams down the road, I'll be able to like go, hey, look what I've learned. Just like last stream where I couldn't get my facial stuff to work. I'm gonna load this plugin up again because it didn't save, it crashed, so that caused it to Sean, we crashed. Maya marketing team. It's a good inside joke. Alright, where is this? NXT. Alright, load, auto load, close. Close. I'm gonna restart Maya just because it saves all the preferences and it saves my plugin settings, so that if it does crash again, I don't have to go through that process again. And we're right down to the last minute here, so I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do anything. But let's make sure it works, and then I'll wrap it up. see if it pops in here. Still loading. Still possible that it'll pop in there. Yeah, it did. Excellent. Okay, so I'll have to sit down and figure out why exactly I can't create a new node and edit it. So we've got step number 1 to solve, but we did make a fair bit of progress when it came to doing the facial capture stuff. I definitely have a fairly good, clear plan of where I'm heading with that one, to be able to make some sort of facial targets system set up. And it's just a matter of understanding how exactly I can convert what I've got. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Next week we'll carry on trying to solve some more of these problems, and hopefully it'll work out. Thanks for everybody who showed up and is still watching, and Sean is thanking me for the stream, and Dave. All right, you guys are still here. Awesome. So I'll see you guys next week, and take care, everybody. Cheers.